And welcome back, everybody. This is Star Battle Tournament NA9, Game 2 of the Grand Finals. We are here, folks. So let's start off with the comps. With me, I've got Bozocat and Jitsu. Did you make it in the lobby? I don't know if Jitsu made it in lobby. We'll see. Anyways, so starting in the bottom, we have Kiryu with a double 6-int carrier, double Destro, 1-5 armor, 1-4-3. We have double levy as well, standard for Eclipsis, both opening up constant mutation. And from the top, we have Cyberdyne, opening up a double range guardian, storm arbiter, BC opening range as well, and a 5 armor Destro, so similar to the range opening.
Sound resumed.
There we go. I couldn't hear you guys. I'm sorry, Jitsu. They started without me ready, so I had my caster thing muted. I've been talking. Stream's been hearing me.
Yeah, that's why I poked you. I figured I'm like, no, she's probably around. I'm gonna poke her.
Say hello to the world, Jitsu, properly.
Well, hello, people. Welcome to Game 2 of the finals.
Should be exciting. So this time Eclipsis doesn't have a support, which is a bit surprising because they did quite well with it last time. But they have the double carrier. So they will have some energy deny if they need it. And their double levies will be very strong for the late game as well. Computer being very aggressive on Shipig this time.
Not necessarily something I agree with, because computer is...
Yeah, he's getting a lot of farm on the side lane, but he's also now in the yellow. Whereas the Eclipsis Destros are still relatively healthy at this point.
Well, yeah, and when he was in there, he was not. His lasers weren't on the farm, so the farm was chewing him up quite a bit. Even with the 5 armor, he's like, taking some damage.
Eclipsis is exploiting the fact they have all launching ships, getting quite a few launches off. War Alistair, as a guardian this time, is getting quite pounded now in the orange. And Ladanian's been saving his storms for those launches rather than for the Destros themselves. Yeah, you're right, Bozocat. And in the bottom, we've got OSB versus Zin. So basically, total switch up of who's playing the levy against Zin this time. Pretty much even farm, thanks Bozo. But Eclipsis really can dictate the center right now because the Cyberdyne Destro is so low in health. Bit of Eclipsis staggering the launches, Ladanian doing his best to catch them, but still Alistair is going to get pounded, and he doesn't have a 5 spines.
Switching Duskin on the side lane, that's smart as a one-on-one matchup, but if he gets launched on, he's going to have very little to cover for him with only 1 spine. We'll see if Eclipsis notices and takes advantage of that.
Did you poke me a second time, Jitsu?
Was not me.
It wasn't you. It was someone with your name.
Oh, yeah, I poked you on both accounts. I did.
Okay. No worries.
I didn't know which speakers you had on, so I was
No
like...
worries. Eclipsis now pulling back. Yep, pretty much even on the Leviathans. Both are in their 9 range, though OSB does have a little bit more bile and armor. Yep, and then again we're seeing a Guardian versus a Levy in a side lane right now. And it looks like Eclipsis is cutting across a little bit. Going to put pressure on computer. A bit of a bad turn there by Lars. Computer trying to help out OSB in the bottom. Interestingly, the carriers are split up. They're not launching together, but they are actually able to do a lot of harassment still. So what do you think Cyberdyne can do to manage these launches? One of the Guardians going to have to go full spines. What do you think, Bozo?
They need pods, and Rookie has it, but he only has 225 energy, which is going to be rough. Guardian spines are okay launches, but when you've got all 6 ships launching, it just takes a long time to clean up all the trash. And these Guardians were starting from full range, so they didn't have that starting base of 5 spines to work from.
Big push here on the bottom by Cyberdyne with Zin and Warlaster. And then a bit of a warp in. Though Eclipsis is already back at their towers.
Yeah, they're definitely going to take this upgrade and then push back out.
Yep. Zin's trying to cut over to catch that leaking farm, but some of it will leak regardless.
About 100 ahead for ECL. They should definitely be having a little bit of a farm advantage with Cyberdyne having the support.
Yep. Oh, you're right. Shapig did go Corruptors again, which, considering how well it worked last time, unsurprising. But Corruption, that's an interesting choice. Could be to supplement launches from the team, taking 20% extra damage.
Yeah, well, they're gonna drop in here. It's gonna be some damage. There's an int launch.
There goes the Corruption and the subsequent int launch. Ladanian's too far away to help and no energy to storm that. So Zin is going to take a panning. There's the storm, but Zin's still down into the red, with Shapig following close behind.
2000. Yeah, he should
Yeah.
be fine.
And he also has rapid regen.
Oh yeah, he's got rapid. He's easy.
Yeah. But still a very strong push, and also a pretty scary one for Cyberdyne.
Yeah, they're gunning for him hard.
I'm noticing occasional FPS lag spikes, Bozo. But I don't think it's from you. It could be me as well. It's not too bad. It's just occasional stutter. Computer pushing in here. The one man army pushing against 2 Destros. And the threats of launches. Ladanian hasn't gotten any laser upgrades. I don't know if Eclipsis realizes this, or they're just don't want to bother launching on an Arbiter that can storm around itself so easily. But that would be very vulnerable, especially because Warlaster's he has 1 armor and he has his 5 spine. Much better able to defend himself. Dusk has now gone up to 9 spine. Eclipsis carriers are now at 8, and double 8 ints on both. No warp in yet. And bots on both of the Eclipsis species. Should read that out.
Luigi's helping OSB harass Zen on the top. Couple in launch.
Yep, seems like the side lanes are holding quite well on their own for Eclipsis, and Cyberdyne again has Dusk still on the outside lane.
They're doing a really good job coordinating their launches for when the Ladanian doesn't have energy for storm.
Yep. Now let's take a quick look at the farm count. 1141 for Eclipsis and 1025 for Cyberdyne. So still not a big differential at this point, especially considering the number of launches that Eclipsis has been getting off and the amount of harassment. Cyberdyne's still not doing too badly, however, they are starting to fall behind. Zin's at 203 farm versus Shapig 251. Luigi's at 120. Sorry, Luigi's not it's OSB who's and someone mutated. Yeah. And OSB is already at 250, so I think it's the age of the double levy comp, as I was telling Bozo last game. Just too scary. Bit of a push here on Killer U. Ladanian's storming to save himself. But he's got no lasers and no shield upgrades.
It's true. That's the hard point. So if the carriers can split up a few ints every now and then to launch on Ladanian, he's gonna hurt pretty hard.
Yep. And again, I don't know if they saw that. I don't know if they know that he hasn't gotten his two shot yet. But probably that'll be his next set of upgrades.
You would hope so.
I think he figured prioritizing energy for storm over lasers would be the best course. Nice storm on two of the Eclipse ships, though one had shields. Rookie always low on shields and low on health. Not a bad thing, that's usually the way BCs go, but Zin's helping clean off the interceptors off Rookie.
I would actually say it's a bad thing to be out there with low shields and health all the time. And the reason I say that is because of the concept of pressure. A team that has full health can ball up and kill somebody, and the other team needs to be aware of that. A team where 2 or 3 people are yellow is just not as scary, and therefore the other team can play more aggressively and get more farm. Especially in the era of double levy, that is critically important.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But also in this scenario, I think they were slowly backing in any case. So they were already on their way back to get ups, and they were just trying to stay out as long as possible. But yeah, definitely everyone should keep their health up so that when they warp in, they can do a strong push, like you were saying with the ball. This is very important.
One of the things we found playing on the Eclipsis beacon was that when we did those slow backs, we would give the enemy a lot of farm, and then when we did push out, they'd be a lot less afraid of us because they were up so far.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's better just to say, you've won the day, back hard, push out hard, than
Yeah,
to
I
do slow
totally
backs.
Eclipsis is now about 100 ahead in farm, where they were 150 just a little bit ago. So
Looks like they're
totally
setting up a
agree.
warp trick here. And looks like Cyberdyne may actually be caught by this because Warlister's still pretty deep and Zin's pretty deep. We now have the Destro, the double carriers. We have a feedback on Luigi and 10 interceptors on Killer U.
Zin's in the
Just
hot
such a place for
corruption.
it.
Zin's got, yep, Zin's in the hot zone, has corruption on him. Interceptors, Ladanian just used a launch. But those corruptors are not going to pop up soon enough to get close in range, but they will help
I don't
provide
think
the...
Eclipse has enough DPS to kill him.
Not at this point, but very scary for Cyberdyne.
Here's the counter push on Egg the Ice.
But Beggy gets
Yeah,
away
it's
with
This
orange.
margin.
16
Yeah.
spines and spines on Warlister and Dusk with
Whoops.
corrosive.
Derp stop by OSB in the middle there. Did a little stop and a turn. Cyberdyne's taking advantage and pushing.
Luigi goes right into the middle of it to try to cover for him.
He's full shields, full health, able to do so.
Computer is corrupted. Computer in a lot of trouble. Only 7 armor.
Yep, but Eclipse is a little too damaged on their key DPS givers, which are the levies, in order to push this. They only have 7 bile, 6 bile on each.
And Zin's back up almost above 10k health, so he's ready to roll.
Yep, ready to roll, going tanky.
Both Destros are bots, and they can stay out much the whole time now.
Yep, because with the corruptors and now the bots and the Destros, yeah, Eclipse can keep up the pressure continually. And Cyberdyne just needs to figure out a way to break this, but there are opportunities like there. For example, OSP just stopped for a sec. You know, anything can turn to a kill.
Nice, good storm by Ladanian and the Destro.
And force fields by Ladanian.
This is a tough spot for Cyberdyne. Ideally what they'd like to is make a big push where the Corruptors aren't. Corruptors have a very low acceleration. And so if you make a play where the Corruptors aren't, then all of that farm that Shapig is tied up becomes irrelevant to the play. But if that play is not successful and they don't get somebody, then they've allowed Shapig to free farm for 2 or 3 minutes and taken a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very weighted disadvantage, and it can go either way.
And another wave of corruptors is going out to harass Dusk or to farm. And both. And this double Destro center is really very strong. Luigi's starting to feed back. He's able to catch Ladanian there. A little bit risky because of the feedback range. Means he has to dive in a bit because the supports generally hang back a bit more. Counter push turning on... Yep, Shapig coming in full health, turning on the Guardian, I believe. Yep, turning on the Guardian, War Alistair. Corrosive Acid, Dusk on the Destro, trying to shake off Eclipsis. Eclipsis may try to push for kill, not going to happen. And they split up again. But again, applying tons of pressure, damaging heavily, and then pulling back, still only in the yellow.
And they're playing very conservatively. Even the levies, even Shapig, I was watching, used the corruption, but didn't use all of his energy up. And so when he spread back out to the outside, he still had energy for corruptors again. So they're just playing very conservatively and very securely.
Part of that's that Shapig still doesn't have rapid regen, so he just doesn't have any place to spend that energy on other than Corruptors, which
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
be
true,
relevant
that's
in a
true.
chase.
Zin now at 12 bile. Dusk is now at 16 spine, trying to counteract all those launches in addition to his corrosive acid. BC warping out now, more energy for pods, but not able to contribute to the team DPS at this point. Computer's just going strictly for armor. Eclipse's carry is now 13, and I can't see the other one. 13 and something else. And quick launch. And a recall, faking out the
Fake
pod.
yes.
Faking the pods. Oh, that makes me rage as a BC. I'm like, ah! My positioning of pods was perfect. It was perfect. And then you had to fake it so I don't look awesome.
There's a good push back on.
Big push on Xin here. Big push. OSB Shipig both fairly tanky. They got extra health upgrades, so they'll be able to stay in this longer. And Shipig also still doesn't have his rapid regen though, pulling back a bit. Big push on Xin. Xin again in the red. Counter push here on Lars. Eclipse is scrambling to follow feedback on the Destro. Corrosive acid flying everywhere. Tons of sound effects.
Yeah, they've got to be very, very careful with those guards. Lots of DPS.
Yep, 16 spines. 11 spines on Moralester, 16 on Dusk. Computer's going down, and he's corrupted, and a launch. Computer's going down. E-shield pops and then almost immediately disappears.
Alright, they're going to go for a trade with the guards.
Looks like you may get a trade with OSB, though no energy yet for...
OSB
there goes OSB. Just short of energy
Dusk
for rapid regen.
Dusk and Waralister are both in the hot zone.
Eclipse is still relatively healthy, but Shipig cannot jump in. He's donating corruptors. There goes Dusk.
Rookie's not really in the right spot to use his missiles. He was they're pretty much on top of him most of the time.
Eclipse is retreating. Looks like we did... that may have been a feedback kill? I'm not 100% sure. Rookie backing away from the corruptors because at this point he's low enough, doesn't want to take any additional damage. So let's figure out what so what was traded? A Leviathan for a Guardian and a Destro. Not a bad trade, especially considering Cyberdyne only has one Destro and Eclipsis has another Leviathan.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting trade because with their Arbiter they could have done some sort of siege, boosted siege or something like that, but it's not that they really need it because they have a Guardian and a Levy, but
yeah, and
there's still a lot of...
Yeah, they did have that option, which could have helped.
They still have a lot of damage. Eclipsis has a lot of damage in terms of 2 carriers and a Levy still, with the double Destro pushing, so yeah, it's interesting to see how they respond into the losing ships.
Yeah. And Cyberdyne lost a 16 spine, and as Bozo pointed out, the higher farmed of the 2 Guardians, which is definitely going to hurt in their counter launch abilities there. Their counter launch anti-ints. Warping in on near the top, Destro and Carrier. Now 14 and 11 ints. Both carriers have warp in. Destros
we have strike cannon on Lars.
And protective field on Beggy. Shipig is now at 600 energy, has finally got his rapid regen. 11 tenths to 9 bile, nothing too spectacular at this point except for the fact that he has the corruptors, which I'm not sure what level they are at. Level 2.
Yeah, Xin way out DPS is Shipig in range and in damage. The corruption helps, but yeah, it's a lot of...
For sure.
A lot of pushing power on Xin there.
Ladane,
see Ladanian hanging out.
trying to help out Xin here.
Useful note about the Corruptors. If Ladanian does not block their damage with a force field, each Corruptor contributes 50 DPS.
Yeah,
which
that's
is the
huge.
equivalent of the starting
Wow.
weapon system of a ship at the beginning of the game.
Looks like, sorry to interrupt, looks like Waralester is going down. A push and launches, but he may just make it. He has 2000k just past the Persian Bezig. He's trying to push onto it. And no kill. If the other carriers there and launched, I think they would have gotten Waralester. Sorry to interrupt. But yeah, corruptors are pretty scary too. Everything could be scary with enough upgrades.
So, because the DPS of that Corruptor Cloud is absolutely necessary for Ladanian to stay where the Corruptors are and keep people from being sniped by them, and that's leaving the rest of the DPS free on the other side. Although there's not much stuff that's blocked by force fields left for Eclipses because of the ship they lost.
Yeah, exactly. The interceptors now are a huge form of DPS as far as range DPS goes.
And it basically means that Ladanian's completely tied up trying to cleanup interceptors. He did get cloak. I haven't seen it be used yet. Of course, that's very dangerous
Here
because
comes War
any launches could just be redirected to him. But I think actually, even if they're leaking, it's not so much of a difference. 2200 farm 70 for Eclipsis and 1500 for Cyberdyne.
15 spines on War Alistair Guardian now.
And only 250 energy. He can.
They're about a 750 farm lead.
So Eclipsis maintaining a soft contain here.
Strikes and int launch on War Alistair.
Rookie warping in. I'm not sure what he's getting. Oh, he's just getting energy for pods, which hurts the Cyberdyne DPS, because basically then they just have War Alistair and Zin to count on.
But they have to. The carriers are the kill mechanism at this point.
Yeah.
Shapig is just there to contain.
Launch on Zin, hurting him badly, pushing him into the orange.
Corruptors on the side from Shapig, doing a good job keeping the pressure up.
I hear the sound of bots from the Destros. So they are still staying out.
I would actually like to see Shapig move to the center and allow Killer U to farm up. Basically, all of Shapig's DPS is being countered by that Arbiter with the force fields, whereas if Killer U gets his interceptors up to about level 18, he's going to get to that point where you just start to render the spines on the Guardian obsolete.
Yep, I think that's a good call. I mean, but usually though, actually Shapig is starting to transition to Bio, but you're right, with the force fields, it's really counteracted.
It's very interesting. The ints would be good too, even though they have pods and storm to counter and cloak as well. I don't think that ints will, as long as Ladanian's watching, I don't think that ints will be a kill mechanism. But yeah, it would be definitely much more pressures. I mean, he's only sitting at 11 ints right now, so that's not that much damage. Luigi with 14.
Well, it's an excellent weakening mechanism, because even if they don't actually kill, it's keeping Cyberdyne permanently in the yellow or lower. So Cyberdyne taking advantage of this respite to push out and get some farm. Hitting a cloud of corruptors on the way, though. Trying to farm it up as much as possible. Eclipse is going for a back. Looks like Luigi's going to set up a warp point out here, though he's actually visible. War Alistair pushing a little bit. And will Eclipsis warp out? No, looks like they're just going to be walking out normal.
Luigi spamming for the warp to me. Luigi's going to quick back. And we have Tex on Luigi now, and he's warping back in with enough energy to use it. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, Eclipsis is definitely not giving up any room to breathe at all.
No, playing a really aggressive style, really tight play. If they vortex Ladanian, he would go down, or even if they vortex Ladanian, they could snipe Rookie, because basically just taking out any third of their any part of the anti-ints measures would actually basically render the rest of the team really vulnerable. And also, at this point, Eclipsis may try to think about taking out one of the towers with using the corruptors as a soft mechanism and launching on them. War Alistair coming out now, getting more tanky, 5 armor, Ladanian, more energy, and 6 lasers. Still haven't seen that cloak being used.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he's saving the cloak for either some kind of push. Yeah, there's a cloak right there. Perfect.
There's the cloak. Are we going to see a Tex? Yes, we're going to see a Tex catching the Leviathan.
Grab the levy just by the edge of his little butt there.
Launch on War Alistair. At this point, Eclipsis they do have a lot of ways to try to push the rest of the team back. And
we're gonna see Ladanian plays here.
Shapig lag spike.
For saving.
Talk about dramatic. A lag screen just before.
Right on the text, yeah. Shalag.
Now, if you look at the bars that you can see in the situation while we're paused, The Arbiter has no energy, which is very, very important in terms of saving people.
Yeah, he's
You
at
cannot
13.
activate Cloak with less than 50. And Cloak is going to be necessary to get the interceptors off.
Yeah, and he has Cloak up right now, so he's headed into 0. So, I mean...
And he doesn't have Chrono.
We've got Lars putting his heart in a box, because I was teasing him about why his hearts were always in square brackets earlier today. Dude, you put your heart in a box, it's like some kind of creepy undead.
Or it could be like Pirates of the Caribbean. So that was a
So-
pretty gross
Indeed.
heart.
Do you guys have any feedback from the other games for the semifinals today? Did you hear anything about anything that happened in those games? Anything worth noting?
MIT didn't do warp tricks in their semifinal match.
Oh, that's very interesting.
We were waiting.
Things
We were
goes
waiting
down.
for them.
Oh, we're going again.
That's
Alright,
actually
so
is a
launch
big
on
point.
Zen.
Big convergence on Zin. Cloak,
Cloak
just
there.
enough for Cloak for a second.
To
Ladinia's,
interrupt the int launch.
but
and he's
not
gonna-
enough. And there
Good.
goes Cyberdyne's
Wow.
last hope. Looks
Rookie
like
going for the
rookies.
suicide.
Yep. And the GG from Zin. Wow. This is the first grand final match that's gone to 2 in forever. Wait, is it over? Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's it. That's the
That's
end.
it. Wow.
For Eclipsis.
First gold star. They have been
Clan
setting up
Eclipsis.
teams that were all about getting the gold medal for a long time, and they've finally done it. It was a bit of an experiment for Cyberdyne. Cyberdyne actually put out 2 very strong teams. It'll be interesting to see if they continue to do 2 very strong teams, or if they just stack everybody in one team again, like as they have in the past.
I don't necessarily think. I think balanced teams is actually still can be a fun thing because then you have more stronger teams in a tournament. Then it makes the brackets a little more unpredictable, but add some spice to it. But yeah, Eclipsis with its first gold star in over a year since it was established. Well, yeah, first gold star ever, and it's been around for over a year as an institution. Longer than that for some of the players. So I'm certain that there's parties going on in the Eclipsis channels right now. But in the meanwhile, any last feedback on the game, on the match? Bozo, you first.
This is
I'll
the
get
first
you
time
Jitsu
I've
in a
seen
sec.
Eclipsis run a strict brute force comp, and I have to admit, it was a lot of fun to watch. Begy Ice is an extremely aggressive player, and this was a composition that really took advantage of that.
Jitsu?
Yeah, I think it was really well played by both sides, and it could have gone either way very, very quickly when they were pushing and trading. If someone else had been caught or different ships had been traded, we could have seen a much different outcome. So I think it was well played by everyone, and they both teams, especially Eclipse, they did a good job of keeping the pressure up even after the trade. Off teams can play a little passively or less aggressively after ships have been lost, so that was good for them that they kept the pressure up and just kept pushing. But otherwise, yeah, great game, well played by both sides,
Yep.
and congrats to Eclipsis for the gold star and winning NA9.
Yep. And just so you guys know, there's still some more Star Battle Clan v Clan action. TSL playoffs are happening 2 weekends from now at some point, time to be decided. That is going to be actually a rematch of sorts. It's going to be Eclipses versus Cyberdyne in the semifinals, and then there's also the second semifinal match set, which is Rebel Lions versus Space Bunnies. So catch those semifinal matches. They're best of 5. They're going to be casted, and then the weekend after, mid-February, it's going to be the finals for the TSL season.
Probably
Nope.
not be casted on these streams, because Owned is folding up in a week.
Yeah. Owned is our streaming site. Yeah, is going down. It's, they're pulling the plug. They couldn't make enough money, so we'll all be switching over to some other service. But we'll give you all the links for those. And actually, one more plug: we have another tournament coming up, which is going to be called the World Star Battle Tournament 2. It's going to be actually under the umbrella of Swarm of Hearts. You can check the information on the forums. That is going to be a multi-custom map hopefully hundreds and hundreds of players charity event, and World Star Battle 2 is going to be hosted during that. So lots of exciting stuff coming up.
Definitely promo the Swarm of Hearts. It's a huge organizational charity event for all custom maps in StarCraft 2. So it's a pretty big deal, and the World Star Battle 2, the second one, will be huge. The first one I know definitely had, I think, over 313 players with over, what was it, like 30, 40 teams or something. It was ridiculous. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that, and keep an eye out for events that are pertaining to that. So
Cool. So I get the pleasure of saying thank you everybody for watching the streams and the casts, and thanks to the teams for standing the lag spikes and the pauses and all that jazz. And I hope you guys all enjoyed the cast and watching. All the stuff will be uploaded onto YouTube, and you can catch it later. Thanks to the co-casters, thank you the participants, and of course the hosts. And you can never forget Zedu for making the map. So everybody have a good evening, have a good night, and we will catch you again for more Star Battle games later.
GG!
GG!